Hello and welcome to this edition of Dr. K's Psychobabble. It's been a while since I've done a video actually, so glad to be back. And the focus of this particular video relates to an assignment that I have in one of the classes that I teach at KBCC, the psychology seminar class. And what I do in that class is I have a chapter on one of the most important skills to develop in terms of doing well in school and essentially doing well in life is managing your time. Now, we often are exposed to different models for managing our time, and I have certainly tried them all, and over the years have managed to come up with my own particular unique approach that addressed some of the issues I have with traditional time management tasks and procedures and whatnot. So this is really telling you how I do it. And for the sake of the class, they have to experiment with it, demonstrate that they understand how I manage my time, and then incorporate into their own time management anything that they can gain from that. Or if their time management plan is going well, then keep on going. Now, one of the problems associated with many people who engage in or are taught time management when it relates to school, particularly when you're in school for the first time, in college for the first time, we are taught to take the tasks that we need to complete during a period of time. Let's just say this week I need to do a quiz, I need to post into a discussion board, I need to do an outline for my paper, and I need to do some studying for an exam. I need to get those things done this week. So what I do is I look at my calendar and I set aside time to do one of those things, and I set aside and I'm scheduling when I'm going to do those things. Now, the barrier that I experience, and maybe some of the barriers that people experience, and certainly anecdotally I've found that to be true, is we underestimate how long it's going to take to get a task done. So if I have scheduled a certain amount of time to get a quiz done, let's say, and I then go to take that quiz, and I find that it's taking me way longer. I have to do more research, I have to do whatever, and if I've bumpered that time with other things, then I can run out of time, and that can be very stressful, particularly if you're looking at very kind of lengthy projects like putting together an outline for a paper or something like that. Those kinds of things can be really challenging. And then we look at the rest of their schedule, and when am I going to finish this? I've already scheduled out. How is all that going to happen? So my particular method entails not only time management, but task management. So I call it time task management. And it's really designed for my particular psychology. It works because I like to switch things pretty quickly. Now, that doesn't mean I don't get into the zone and I get into that sort of place where I can work steadily and time seems to disappear. I get into that deep level of concentration. That does happen, and I let that flow. That's the term we use for getting into that space. But with the smaller tasks that I have to do throughout the day, I find this method works really, really well. Switching tasks fairly rapidly keeps me awake, keeps me alert, addresses the fact that I really can't pay attention to things for very long. And so that kind of switching back and forth. So the first step really in my time management plan, time task management, is looking at the time that I have already scheduled. So let's take a look at some of the things that I schedule into my day. So when I'm looking at managing my time and blocking off periods of my day in my week to get certain things done, I have to black out times when I'm at work and I'm not able to do schoolwork, let's say. Now, granted, I have the type of job where most of my to-do list is in a very flexible schedule. So I'm going to present this from the perspective of someone who has a full-time job during the day that does not allow them to do the other things of life. Like you're going to school and you're doing your job. I'm going to make it a 4-day-a-week job just so I can demonstrate some different things. But your unique situation is going to be yours. But I'm going to have swaths of time during the day where I need to be at work. And I can't be doing any schoolwork. I can't be addressing my to-do list. I can be addressing my work to-do list, but I'll be doing that after work. So let's take a look at some of the things that I take into consideration. I will schedule out, block out my work time. I will schedule out family time. Very important to be able to do this. Rest and relaxation time. Make sure I give myself some of that. Class time, periods of when I'm in class itself. Eating time, make sure you get your meals in there. And then set a bedtime. In fact, having a consistent time at which you go to bed, rather than the amount of hours themselves, they're both very important, but the habit of going to bed at the same time, just let's say I'm going to go to bed at 10 o'clock every night. That's it. That is an incredibly healthy thing to do. Setting your clock so, although if you're used to winging it, and some days you'll stay up until 1, and other days you're in bed at 7, it's hard to set that clock, but certainly very advisable to do that. And as I'm saying this, I don't do it, and I understand, and I feel the effects of that. I know that it would be better if I did that. I struggle. I feel the pain. I understand, but as an advice, maybe I can't do it, but I could certainly teach it. Setting a consistent bedtime has been shown to be very, very healthy. Now, the last one here, everything else I consider to-do list time. This is undesignated to-do items. It's important. And this is the key to this particular perspective. It's important. I'm not scheduling things in there yet. I'm just saying that's a time, here's a period of time, I can do to-do list items. I have a break from it and I can do those things. Awesome. I'll show you how I schedule those. So I'm going to bring up my calendar, or a digital calendar. So here we have the days of the week here, and I hope this shows up. This is kind of washes out on my computer here, but let's say I have a schedule Monday through Friday, and on Mondays I work. This is work, and I'm going to duplicate that. I work that day, and I work this day, and I work this day. And let's just say I'm working full-time 4 days a week. Okay, so I've scheduled my work. Now I'm going to schedule family time. So let's say we're going to designate that from 6 to 8, this is game night. And on the weekend here, let's look at Saturday. Let's put something in the afternoon here. This is play with kids. And then let's say you're a church-going person. You go to church here in the morning. Got that. Now then, of course, we have meals. So let's just say I'm going to kind of set a meal time here. Duplicate that. It's really handy to do this with a digital calendar like this. So there's my meal time. And then, I had some rest and relaxation time. Let's call that, I'm going to do that on Saturday night. This from here. This is R&R. I'm going to watch my favorite show. That'll be my TV watching time. And then I'm going to put 10 o'clock. That's going to be sleep. And that will apply over here too. So I'm going to bed at the same time. I have my rest and relaxation here every Saturday. Let's put, let's put another one here. Let's do 2 to 5. That'll be some family plus R&R kind of thing. I think I have them all. Let me check my slide here. Class time, eating time. Oh, I got to go to class. So here I have, let's say I scheduled all on Wednesday. I have an 8 o'clock class, and then I have an 11 o'clock class, and then I have a 3 o'clock. So there's my schedule. You see how it's all filled up here with these lines. Now, what I end up having, let's say I'm going to use a little different color here, is I have all of this. I have this right until sleep time here, right? Oh, I have this. All that. I have this. Right here, what I'm looking at here is I'm scheduling all the times when, I could have just left them white, I guess, but scheduled all these times here. That's got to be yellow. That yellow. Oh, not that. Make this yellow. Yellow. And this is an important one. And I'm going to get up. I'm going to get up at 6 in the morning, and I'm going to have some to-do list time there. I'm going to have an hour every morning. So what I want you to see here is what I've done is I've scheduled all blacked out, pretty much all the times when I'm busy doing something else. Doing my meals, I got play with the kids every Saturday, I've got some family time here in the afternoon, going to church, going to work, I have my 3 classes, but I'm going to focus on all these yellow ones, and on your screen they say new event. So you block out, look at all this time right here. Now I understand that that's time, you just got off work, you're decompressing and stuff like that, and I totally get that. And you're going to see where this is going to come into play as to what you do during these times is going to be important. And maybe the habits that you have up until now that have run you amiss of getting things done is like, well, I just like to sit down and watch TV for a couple hours. That might be something that you're just going to have to give up because you're trying to get important things done. You can schedule your TV time. If you want to put that, you have a show that you want to watch every night, that's your R&R, schedule that show, and then the TV goes off. And the rest of the time that you have is, again, your schedule is going to be different. What you have to look for are those spaces in your time. If you have kids that are going to bed, maybe you put them to bed at 8. Maybe you have to set a new bedtime instead of them waiting, so it gives you that time. The family's involved. All these decisions that I had to make when I was in school and I was taking care of my kids, they had a bedtime so that after they went to bed, I was able to get these things done. Okay, now that we have these yellow spaces here, notice they're just open. I haven't put a quiz. I haven't determined what I'm going to do in those. I'm just saying these are the times I'm going to turn to my to-do list. And I'm going to do the next thing in line. And that's where the other half of my plan comes in, and that is the structuring of task management. Now, task management, using the science of behavior management, we recognize that some of the things that we have to get done every day could be considered low cognitive tasks. Now, low cognitive tasks are those that don't require a whole lot of effort on our part. We could do most of them automatic. They're even pleasurable. They're even things we like to get done. They're chore related, those kinds of things, but they're not really things that tax our mind. In addition, we have things that are high cognitive tasks. These are things that we have to invest a lot of attention at. We have to invest a lot of personal energy. This is where my personality is, and my type of cognitive management is. Sometimes I can only maintain that high cognitive task level for only so long. And so doing things in little chunks tends to work better. In addition, it's important to recognize these differences in tasks, the things that I like to do, or the non-cognitive tasks or low cognitive tasks, high cognitive tasks, as a source of procrastination. So one of the errors that we make when we're engaging in procrastination is we are set before us is a high cognitive task, and we will come up with a series of low cognitive tasks that we need to get done before I do that. I need to clean my desk, and then the laundry needs to be done, and then the dishes, and then you start doing things, getting ready to work. I'm not sure if anybody's nodding their head or like, yeah, I relate to that. And then by the time it gets, and you're valuing this because I'm keeping a good house. I'm making the food that my kids like. I'm doing I have the perfect kitchen. I have all of that. You're making those choices, and then by the time you come around to that task, that high cognitive task, you've already blown that energy away. And then now you're exhausted, blah, blah, blah. So let's take a look at a sample. Any given time, I start with a day, and I do this every day, is I line up the tasks that I need to take, that I need to get done, and I put them in one of these categories. So, low cognitive tasks might include doing the dishes, putting in a load of laundry, hanging a picture that I've been meaning to hang, and watering the plants. So those are my low cognitive tasks on my to-do list. There might be more than these, there might be less than these, whatever. High cognitive tasks, posting the initial discussion in one of my online courses, being specific, completing a specific quiz, doing an outline for that paper, reading a chapter. This may be all the same class, this might be different classes. The importance, however, of these two lists, these are not random lists. These are organized in a hierarchy of importance. So in my sample right here, when I put these lists down, getting the dishes done is more important than getting the laundry done, is more important than hanging the picture, is more than important than watering the plants. Whatever, I just put them on there. But for the time being, let's say this is in the order of priority. The high cognitive tasks are also in order of priority. Post the initial discussions, complete the quiz, outline the paper, read the chapter. These are in order of priority. That priority may relate to due dates. It may relate to something that you're behind on. It may relate to a bigger task that you've chopped up into smaller pieces. Doesn't matter. So along with opening up those spaces on my schedule about when I'm going to address my to-do list, here's the second part of the magic for me. This is where behavior management comes in. We procrastinate with low cognitive tasks because they are more pleasurable and rewarding. We get, if I post an initial discussion, that's only somewhat rewarding. I get the dishes done and I feel like I've accomplished something. That's really great. So I want to take advantage of that. And using behavior management, what I can say is if I take a high cognitive task and I complete it, or I get that done, and then move on to a low cognitive task, the low cognitive tasks is a reward. So in this case, I would say I'm going to post the initial discussion. which I have to think about and do. But then after that, I'm going to do the dishes, and I'm going to get a really good sense of accomplishment from that. Then I'm going to complete that quiz. I'm going to get that, and then I'm going to do the laundry. And I'm going to switch back and forth between high and low cognitive tasks. So once I have this list, these two lists, I combine them and I alternate between high and low cognitive tasks. So you have the discussion, dishes, quiz, laundry, outline paper, hang picture, read chapter, water plants. This becomes my master to-do list, and this is the one I'm going to refer to throughout the day. So once I have this master list, then I can enter into my normal day. Let me bring up the calendar here. So this is the day that I'm going, and let's say it's Monday, and I'm going along. I wake up in the morning here at 6 a.m. I wake up, take a shower, doing that, and I have this 1 hour. During this 1 hour, I go to my list. What's the first thing? I post the initial discussions. I continue doing this until that hour is done. However far I get down this list, however far I get into any one of these, I go until that hour is done. So let's just say I posted the initial discussion and got the dishes done. There was just a few dishes left. In fact, I like to do the dishes at night so I can wake up in the morning to a clean kitchen. But nonetheless, I got the discussion done. The dishes were next. I got them all washed, but I haven't put them away yet because I ran out of time. That's fine. I then carry on with my day. I go to work. I do the whole work day. I come back into my calendar here. I'm going through the work day here, and I have the meal, and now I have 6 to 10, right? So then what do? I finish putting away the dishes. And once that's done, I go do the quiz. And then once that's done, I do laundry. And then by the time 10 o'clock came around, I only had part of my outline done. Then that list continues the next day. When I get up in the morning, the first thing I'm going to work on is that outline. And I continue working toward that in that outline. Now, the next day, I actually have to revisit those lists, those high and low priority lists, because each day brings its own necessary tasks. So let's just say, for example, the people that come to get our trash come to get the trash they come on Monday. So if this was Monday morning, the first thing, even though I haven't done the whole outline for that chapter yet, the first thing I would put on my list is to get the trash ready. I have to go, there's multiple households here, collect all the trash, make sure it's all in there, empty the cat litter boxes, all the routine that I go through, make sure the trash is out by the road. That's something that's only on Monday. So it gets bumped up in priority. So this is a dynamic list. When something new comes up, you add it to the list in the appropriate place. What this does by prioritizing is it allows you to focus on the task for as long as you can until the task is done. There are challenges all the time. Something might be just taking too long and other things are falling by the wayside. You have to take a break from that thing, put it down. Even though it's a higher priority, you might move it down a little bit, get a few other things, high cognitive, but not as high cognitive as that paper, keeping in line deadlines. This list, I use a digital version of a to-do list, and I drag them around all the time. I drag them around during the day. I might, for example, have a surprise period of time during the day where I'm free, but the next thing on my list is doing the dishes, but I'm at work. So I'm going to move some things around. I'm going to move a low cognitive work thing next to a high cognitive work thing, and I'll move things around. This is how I manage my time and task. For the assignment, I'm asking you to create all this. You don't have to implement it, but you list typical low cognitive tasks, list typical high cognitive tasks, put them in hierarchy, make a master list that interchanges between low and high, and then submit a calendar where you recognize the periods of time in which you can do those things that are on your to-do list in order for however long you have. Now, for me, this has been incredibly successful. I get a lot done. I have not always been that way. I have literally underperformed in many jobs, in many aspects of my life. I didn't get things done, took too long to get things done. This is a continual working process. I'm 58 and I'm still working on it. But at this point in my life, this is a very, very effective way for me to manage the tasks and the time. And it allows me to juggle a lot of different things. Those lists, those to-do lists that I have they're the anchor for projects. They're the anchor. I have separate lists for different activities that I do, but ultimately they all go on to a list I have for each day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I approach each day, and the first thing I actually do is I manage the to-do list for that day. It's actually the first to-do item on every day is manage the to-do list. And I put them in order as best as I can, start my day, and start progressing through taking out time for classes, taking out time for meetings, taking out time for commitments that I have with my family, with the band, with church, with activities that we're planning, me time, all those things. So I offer this as a way of balancing time and task that I haven't seen out in the world. I haven't seen planners or things that work quite this way. I do it digitally. I use the free calendar that comes on my MacBook, and I bought a to-do list managing software called Things, and I use that and I replicate it on my phone, and that's how I manage my time and that's how I get a lot of things done. So that I share that with you, part of what I've learned incorporating aspects of behavior management, motivation theory, time and task management, history of getting things done, particularly now that I do this much more consistently. And I fall off the wagon all the time. I struggle to get everything done, just like everybody, but the key to this is to just get back on the horse. Fall off the horse, I have a bad day, didn't get anything done, got distracted, I was tired, I was sick. That happens, and then you just go to the next day, make the list again. Can't be bashing yourself for stuff like that. But just keeping in mind to develop these habits, it's important. One of the things that personally I'm working on is incorporating into my time a regular workout schedule. Very, very difficult, very challenging right now. So still working on that. So it's not something that just becomes complete. Maybe you have that kind of discipline. You'll be able to do this even better than I do. I really hope that that's the case. So that's what I do. Check it out. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of Dr. K's Psychobabble, and I will see you next time.